Every time you complain, you are admitting that you have lost control. You are telling the world that your circumstances are stronger than your character, and every time you explain yourself, you are begging for permission to be who you are. The ghost, the sovereign, the stoic, they know a truth that most will never understand. Your power is like a pressurized tank. Every word of complaint or explanation is a leak. Today, we learn how to seal those leaks. We master the law of silence. Complaining is the language of the powerless. When you complain about the weather, the economy, or how someone treated you, you are declaring that you are a victim of your environment. You are signaling to everyone around you, and more importantly, to your own subconscious, that you have no agency. A Stoic knows that while you cannot control the cards you are dealt, you have absolute control over how you play them. Silence your complaints, and you begin to starve your weaknesses. Think of your internal energy as a finite resource. Every minute spent venting is a minute stolen from solving the problem. The world doesn't care about your struggle. It only reacts to your results. When you stop complaining, you stop leaking energy. You become a closed system. That redirected energy starts to build up, turning into the raw fuel you need to actually change your situation. Disappear the noise, and the work becomes louder. Why do we feel the urge to explain our choices? It's because we are addicted to being understood. We want people to say, "Oh, I see why you did that. You're a good person." This is a trap. The moment you explain yourself, you are handing the other person a judge's gavel. You are putting your worth on trial. The sovereign mind doesn't need a jury. If you know your why, the world's how doesn't matter. Your silence is your boundary. Master the art of the no without an attachment. I can't make it. Period. I'm not interested. Period. When you add an excuse, you provide a hook for people to pull you back into their reality. An explanation is often just a disguised apology for having boundaries. A king doesn't explain his decrees, he simply executes them. When you stop explaining, people stop questioning you because they realize there is no room for negotiation in your silence. The next time you feel the fire of a complaint rising in your throat, or the desperate need to justify a mistake, wait. Apply the 24-hour rule. Commit to saying nothing about that specific issue for one full day. You will find that by the next morning, the emotional heat has died down, and the need to speak has vanished. In that silence, you didn't just avoid a conflict. You built a muscle. You proved to yourself that you are the master of your impulses, not their servant. Yet when you feel the urge to explain, ask yourself, who am I trying to convince? If the answer is someone whose opinion doesn't pay your bills or guard your peace, then silence is the only logical response. Most people explain because they are insecure about their own decisions. But the man who is 100% certain of his path doesn't need to point at the map for others. He just keeps walking. There is a quiet, dangerous power in being misunderstood and being okay with it. Let them think you are wrong. Let them think you are losing. Let them think you are lucky. When you stop correcting people's false perceptions of you, you regain all the time they are wasting on gossip. Your results will eventually give the only explanation that matters. Until then, stay in the shadows of your own resolve. When you don't explain your moves, you become unpredictable. In a world where everyone is a loud, open book, the man of silence is a mystery that cannot be solved. Your competitors, your critics, and even your distractions lose their target because they don't know where you are aiming. Silence is not just a shield, it is a strategic fog. While they are busy deciphering your last move, you are already 3 steps ahead, working on the next. Have you noticed that the people we respect the most are often the ones who speak the least? There is a natural gravity to someone who doesn't feel the need to fill every silence with an excuse or a complaint. By saying less, you increase the value of every word you eventually speak. You stop being background noise and start being a signal. This is how you build a reputation that precedes you, not through your stories, but through the weight of your presence. To never complain is to build an iron gate around your peace of mind. You acknowledge the pain, you recognize the obstacle, but you refuse to give it a voice. By denying a problem the right to be spoken, you deny it the right to exist in your future. You are telling your soul that you are the architect, and the environment is just the raw material. You stop being a reactive creature and start being a creative force. The final stage of this law is the death of the need to be understood. Most of our misery comes from the gap between how we see ourselves and how others see us. When you stop explaining, you bridge that gap by simply not caring where it ends. You become a sovereign. You realize that if you are right, you don't need to explain. And if you are wrong, no amount of explanation will save you. You stand alone, and in that standing, you are finally free. This path is lonely. It is hard to keep the mouth shut when the ego wants to scream. But the price of this silence is the prize of absolute self-mastery. Look at the seal upon your lips, not as a cage, but as a treasure chest. Inside is the power you've stopped leaking. Inside is the man you were always meant to become. The world belongs to those who can endure in silence what others cannot even face with a shout. If you have the discipline to remain silent while others lose their heads, you are already one of us. Subscribe to Silencron to continue your ascent. If you are committing to the law of silence today, comment "stillness" below. Let your results be your only witness. We move in shadows, we speak in results. Until next time. Or when you commit to this level of silence, something strange happens to your biology. Your heart rate slows, your focus sharpens. You stop living in a state of high cortisol panic, reacting to every comment and every minor inconvenience. You begin to operate from a place of cold, calculated logic. You are no longer a feather blown by the wind of public opinion. You are the wind itself. This stillness is where your true genius is born, far away from the noisy distractions of the mediocre. History's greatest empires were built in the quiet before the storm. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations for an audience. He wrote them for himself, in the silence of his tent at the edge of the world. He knew that the only approval that mattered was his own. By following the law of silence, you are joining an ancient lineage of men who understood that power is quiet, while weakness is loud. Choose your side. So, starting today, let them wonder. Let them speculate. Let them try to draw you out with their questions and their provocations. Keep your seal tight. Keep your gold guarded. The world will try to break your silence because your silence makes them uncomfortable with their own noise. Stand firm. Be the exception. Be the sovereign.